So the Monterey Bay is over here. The Monterey Bay is very unique for Monterey County. No other major wine growing region has such an influence of a water base. The Monterey Bay, or the Blue Grand Canyon as we refer to it, is the deepest canyon in the United States. It actually is about 2 miles deep at one of its deepest points. That depth and the coolness of that water, it's typically about 50 to 55 degrees, majorly impacts our viticultural region. It keeps northern Monterey County, up near Moss Landing and the Aromas area, very, very cool for the majority of the day. This is a representation of a typical day given in July, and this is at approximately 3 o'clock. I have a presentation which I can forward to you. Everything would be relatively purple and blue, which means that the temperature is typically about 60 degrees, 55 to 60 degrees. And again, that's predominantly because of the Monterey Bay. It keeps everything relatively moderate. Things start to change though at around 11 o'clock in the morning. It starts getting a little bit warmer down here because this bay influence and the wind hasn't quite hit southern Monterey County. As we talked about when we got on the bus, this is a 90-mile stretch of land, so you're talking about a long ways to go for this wind and the coolness to hit down in southern Monterey County. This is a representation of around 3 o'clock. Down here in southern Monterey County, where one of our newest AVAs is, the San Antonio Valley AVA, you'll start seeing temperatures get more into the 90-ish degree temperature range. While up in northern Monterey County, it still stays relatively moderate at about 65 to 70 degrees. What does that mean for us as a viticultural region to have about a 35 to 40 degree temperature swing in any given day in July? Well, that means we do a lot of different varietals here in Monterey County. Actually, to the point we grow 42 different commercial varietals, which is significant, particularly compared to other wine growing regions. When pinpointed though as to, well, you do 42, but there's got to be a couple that stand out for you, without a doubt, Chardonnay is our leading varietal in Monterey County. That's a good thing because Chardonnay is also the most consumed varietal within the United States. So a lot of the Chardonnay that you're drinking, the backbone behind that is probably from grapes that came from Monterey County. Approximately 14 to 15,000 of our 40,000 of acres of grapes are planted to Chardonnay. So Chardonnay is a very, very important varietal for us. Most of the Chardonnay that you'll find, because Chardonnay is typically a cool climate grape, is in the northern area of Monterey County. The Arroyo Seco area, which is where we'll spend some time today, is one of the predominant areas for us to grow Chardonnay grapes, as is the Santa Lucia Highlands area. The second leading varietal for us is Pinot Noir, and the Santa Lucia Highlands and the Arroyo Seco region are very well known for Pinot Noir. There's approximately 6,000 acres of Pinot Noir grapes planted here in Monterey County. So if you do the math on that, about half of our acreage is planted to both Chardonnay as well as Pinot Noir. There are, of the 9 American viticultural areas that we have, there are 8 that produce Chardonnay, and all of them produce Pinot Noir to some degree. So Chardonnay, Pinot Noir are number 1, number 2, 42 varietals that are grown throughout the area. And another key point that we talked about is in a given day in July, for about every 10 miles that you go, your temperature swing is probably going to be in the range of about 4 degrees. Meaning that within that 90-mile stretch, you're going to have a variance of about 36 degrees from north to south. To give you some proximity of where we're at, particularly for those of you who are from outside of the state, our first tasting room up in northern Monterey County is Maryland Remark. You have a little bit less than an hour drive to get from South San Jose area or the Silicon Valley area to our first tasting room. To give you some perspective of what's happening down here, our neighbor to the south is Paso Robles. We actually partner with Paso Robles quite a bit just because we're so different in terms of climate and varietals. You'll see a lot of warmer climate varietals that are grown in southern Monterey County, and that's because they actually don't get very much of this cooling effect until very, very late in the day, so they're warm for the majority of the day. So Zinfandel is a popular varietal for them. You'll see a little bit of Zin grown down in the Bradley area here in Monterey County, but it's a very small percentage for us. The other thing that's really important that you'll see today as we start heading over to the 101 area is that there are 2 mountain ranges that have a significant influence on our viticultural area. The first mountain range is the Santa Lucia Highlands area, and that's when we visit Talbot, where you'll be at. The second mountain range is the Gavilan Mountain Range. And the Gavilan Mountain Range is where Chalone is at. Many of you are probably familiar with the Chalone brand, as well as the Pinnacles National Monument. Most people recognize that the Santa Lucia Highlands Mountain Range is a very, very high mountain range. That's that fog that will come up from that Carmel Valley area and come up over the mountain and have the significant cooling effect on the Santa Lucia Highlands area. Most people don't realize, though, that the Gavilan Mountain Range, as you'll see, is a pretty big mountain range in and of itself. So what happens is you have these two very high points and this low valley that's happening where a lot of the agricultural crops outside of vineyards are planted. There's this wind tunnel then that kicks up, goes through the mountain range, and then passes down through southern Monterey County. That wind impact, or that cooling impact, really impacts exactly how long our grapes are grown. We have one of the longest growing seasons in Monterey County for grapes, and it's because of this coolness factor. It just takes a lot longer for the grapes to ripen because of the coolness of the bay, as well as this wind influence that's going on. At around 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock, when you're in the region that we're going to be at around 11 o'clock, it is downright windy. If you have your convertible top down, you're just going to get blown away. You're going to have to pull off and put the top up. It is extremely windy in that region, and again, that impacts the viticultural area. That drive about 82% of our viticultural region. That is really unique. Other wine growing regions have hundreds of soil types, and whereas we do have a lot of soil types, 8 of them are driving 82%. What does that mean? A lot of consistency in the type of soils that we're dealing with from AVA to AVA. Most of those soil types are thick, rocky types of soils, and you'll see that when we go to the green fields area. It stresses the vine and produces a really hearty effort for the vines to produce those great lush grapes that you'll see today. So again, 8 soil types driving 82% of the region. We do have some outliers, though. I'll throw out Chalone, for example. In Chalone, none of those 8 soil types you will find. Chalone is one of the special areas here in Monterey County. The other special area that I'd be remiss if I didn't allude to would be that Carmel Valley area. We'll spend a little bit of time in Carmel by the sea, but not necessarily Carmel Valley today. About 1,000 of our acreage is over there, and there's a mini thermal rainbow effect going on. Most of our grapes are not along the Carmel Valley Road, the main area. Most of them are in a region called Cachagua. I would liken Cachagua more to the Chalone AVA in terms of elevation, the hardcore farmer that you have to be to grow grapes up there, the lack of water. Electricity is sometimes a challenge, no phone reception, so you have to be a hardcore farmer to grow grapes up there.